Hi there, Rule Breaker. Courtney here from the Rule Breakers Club with copywriting, business, and life advice for rebels with a cause. I wanted to share a story with you today about the first time that I ever tried to launch a product online. So it was back in 2012. I think it was maybe July of 2012. I wasn't doing copywriting at that time. I was actually doing resumes for job seekers, and I wrote a book about how to create your own resume, and it was called Resume Revamp. So I spent months working on this book. I designed it myself. It looked really good. In fact, I've looked at it recently. It still does look really good. And I wrote up a sales page for it. I had maybe about like 60 people on my list, maybe 100. And one day I just sent out an email and I told people, hey, my book is available if you want to buy it. And nobody bought my book. 0 goose egg buyers for my book. I was so devastated. I wanted to quit business. I cried so much. It's kind of funny to think about, but it was terribly devastating at the time. And I actually started going to counseling and therapy at that time because I realized how overwhelming running a business could be. So today I wanted to take some time to talk to you about launching. And if you are thinking about launching something for the first time, or maybe you've launched before and you just want some extra tips, I have come a long way since then. I've gone through several launches and I've learned a lot about how to handle the pressure and organize yourself when you're going through a launch. I wanted to give you some tips for how to do that today. So my number one tip for you is that you need to make sure that whatever you're launching is a product that people actually want to buy. Now, I know this sounds like, well, how do I know that until I put it out there? Well, I think you need to really pay attention to your market. You need to talk to people in your target market and ask them what kind of solutions they're working for, what their biggest problems are, what their deepest anxieties are, and then and only then do you go about finding a solution. This is the big mistake I made on the Resume Revamp book, was that I didn't know that people actually wanted a book about resumes. I just was thinking, oh, I could leverage my time by launching a book instead of just doing this service one-on-one. So that was a big mistake. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to plan in advance. Launches have a lot of moving parts, and the farther you get into them, the farther you're like, oh my God, and want to pull your hair out because there's so much going on. You have to plan the marketing, the copy, the design, the payment processing. By the way, you have to create the product itself, which a lot of people don't do until it's actually sold. You have to think about scheduling and launch events. You're going to do a webinar, a video series, a free training. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to create. So the farther in advance that you prepare it, the better off you are. My third tip for you is to break down the project into smaller parts. Launches are huge. They're a huge project, and there's probably 100 different action steps, if not like 5,000 that you need to take when you do a launch. So I recommend using a product software like Asana or Basecamp or Trello to break down your launch into actionable items. I personally use Asana for my team. It's free. I love it. You can assign things to different people, attach to Google Docs. It's awesome. And break that puppy down, break that project down into things that you can actually do as tasks. My fourth tip for you is to hire a team. Now, I know that sounds really daunting, especially if you have been a one-woman shop. I promise you, I know how you feel. I started my business when I was 22 years old, had never really had a real job, and had literally no idea how to hire people. I was terrified to bring someone into my business and show them what was going on behind the scenes. I did that in 2014 for the first time, and I have never looked back. Of 3, including myself, who are always around, not full time, but working about 10 to 15 hours a week total between them. And it helps a lot to make sure that things get done on time. Definitely go ahead and start outsourcing to a team if you haven't done that yet. I recommend starting with hiring a VA. My final tip, do not think this is less important because it's the last one. It's to take care of yourself. We all tend to be workaholics. We love what we do. I could work all day. It's pretty late right now while I'm recording this video. We all also have our limits. And if you push yourself too far, you're going to crack or burn out. Those are both not things you want to experience. Please take care to make sure that you're sleeping enough, drinking enough water. You don't have to exercise if you don't want to, but just make sure that you're not staring at the computer screen all day long. Take breaks. Eat some food, because you are your business. And if you're not okay, if something happens to you, then that's going to be an even bigger problem than if you don't get this last batch of tasks done tonight. So those are my 5 tips for getting through your launch. Let me go through those one more time. So number 1 is to make sure that people actually want your offer by doing market research. Talk to your market, figure out what their problems are and what they want solutions for. Number 2 is to prepare really far in advance. Number 3 is to break the project down into smaller actionable steps. Number 4 is to hire a team. Get some other people on your side so that you can take a break and not be freaking out 24/7. And then finally, number 5, really, really key, take care of yourself. Get your rest, nourish yourself. It's all going to be okay. Life is not that serious. We've all been through it before. I hope you loved this video. If you did, please do go ahead and share it on Facebook and Twitter, and I will see you next week.